everyone, and welcome to Golf Live. I'm Jessica Marksbury, and just wait until you hear what we have in store for you today. Coming up, we're playing miniature golf with NFL Hall of Famer Joe Montana. Golf contributor Josh Sens is back with another edition of Gadget Guy, and later on in the show, my colleague Marika Washchishin will join us as we discuss the controversial new LPGA dress code policy. But first, the golf world is still buzzing about Jordan Spieth's epic back nine on Sunday at the Open Championship, which won him his third major title at the tender age of 23. I'm delighted to be joined in studio by my colleague Ryan Aselta and Sports Illustrated senior writer Alan Shipnuck via Skype. Alan, welcome. Thank you for your time. And let's start with you. Obviously, a roller coaster back nine for Spieth. We all know about the Masters meltdown in 2015. Has Jordan finally slayed his demons?
Oh, without a doubt, and in spectacular fashion. You know, if he had let this Open get away, we might be writing his obituary. Now, you know, we're going to be singing songs about him in taverns for the next century. I mean, he was one of the all-time great finishes to a major championship. It was a monument to his grit, his fight, as well as obviously his talent with that incredible finishing flourish. But really, the mental toughness that Spieth displayed and the ability to stay cool under pressure and to bounce back was so incredibly impressive. And when you add that to, he's one of the best iron players in the game, he's good off the tee, and we know the guy can putt. It's really exciting to think about where he goes from here.
Yeah, Ryan, as Alan said, that bounce back ability is just so impressive. And it's not something you often see in professional golf. How much of an edge does this give Jordan over his PGA Tour colleagues going forward?
It's a huge edge, Jess. I called him the bounce back kid after this one. And he's done this his whole career. And this is what makes Jordan Spieth so very special, to do what he does when things go wrong. And let's face it, things go wrong eventually on the golf course for the best in the world. It happens. We saw it on 13 at the British Open. Have the wherewithal to look to take the unplayable drop, to look to get the line of sight relief from the official. I talked with Stuart Hagestad today, U.S. Mid-Am champion, and he talked about Spieth's IQ. His golf IQ is through the roof, and it really hit a nerve with me because he just had the wherewithal to know, I need to look for my options here. His bounce-back ability has been on display for a while, Jess. We all remember the Masters meltdown of 2016. Everyone forgets after the 12th hole, he birdied 13, he birdied 15. So he actually did bounce back. When he won the U.S. Open at Chambers Bay, he double bogeyed 17, and what did he do? He piped that drive down the 72nd hole of the U.S. Open, then hit that 3-wood onto the green, made birdie, and ended up winning the championship. So he's able to shake things off very quickly and get back to what he does. And he does it so very well, and we saw that on full display on Sunday.
Yeah, Alan, after the Masters, everyone thought Jordan is going to be asked about this until the end of time. But is this performance now going to make all those questions disappear?
Yes, although part of Spieth's charm is that he has more Phil than Tiger in him, in that he can mix the sublime and the ridiculous often within the same round, and certainly the same tournament. And so, you know, Ryan talked about Chambers Bay. I mean, don't forget when Spieth was chasing the Grand Slam at the old course, you know, he missed a little putt on the road hole and then made two awful swings on 18 and lost a chance to really do something that's unprecedented in the game. So there's a little volatility in his game. There's a little uncertainty, and that makes it fun. You know, even if he has a 5-shot lead, and you don't know what's going to happen next, and he's proven that he can blow up in a hurry, but he can also get it back. And so, you know, if Rory McIlroy is leading by 5 shots, he's going to win by 8 because when he puts the pedal down, it's a different kind of velocity trajectory. But with Jordan, there's always that uncertainty, and it makes him thrilling to watch. I mean, if you look at the ratings from this Open Championship, they were through the roof, better than the U.S. Open, which is obviously a domestic event. And there's something mesmerizing about Spieth, and just part of that is he's going to hit a bad shot and he's going to miss a short putt. And you know it's coming at some point, but as Ryan said, you know, he just powers through it. So it's those questions are always going to be there. You know, the ghost of Augusta and even the 13th hole is always going to be in the background, but I think that makes it more fun. He's not automatic. He's not Tiger. and that I think that's fun.
That's why we love him, Alan, right? Let's talk about another guy who's beloved by many golfers and fans, Matt Kuchar. Got to be sitting on top of that list. Best player never to win a major. Let me read you his quote after this one. He said, "To be this close, to taste it with 5 holes to go, it's a hard one to sit back and take." He's now 39, Alan. Do you ever think he's going to break through and get that major title?
He has a lot of top tens. A lot of them are of the backdoor variety, but he puts himself in the mix. And part of winning a major is you have to have your heart broken first, usually. And this was obviously Kuchar's signature heartbreak. He's such a steady player that any conditions suit him, any golf course suits him. But it was interesting, there was a little moment there on 13 where Kuchar hit his best shot of the day into that green. And granted, he had to wait a heck of a long time to make that putt, but that was a classic match play scenario. If he makes his birdie putt, maybe Spieth misses his bogey putt, and the Open could have been over. And to win a major, there's one or two little moments that you have to embrace. You have to take the opportunities when they come. Kuchar misses his birdie putt, Spieth makes his bogey putt, and we know what happened after that. And there was a lot of talk about how great Kuchar played. I think he played really solid. There's no doubt, but he was hitting to the middle of the greens. He just didn't put any pressure on Spieth coming down the stretch. And so I think overall it was an encouraging performance by Kuchar just to get himself in that last group and hold up. But he didn't do that one special thing you have to win the tournament. And obviously Spieth did. So maybe he'll learn from that and he'll be a little more aggressive. He'll be a little more fearless the next time. Or maybe this one's going to haunt him. We'll see. But I think Kuchar's going to hang around for a while, and that's just the key. Keep putting yourself in that position, and sooner or later, you got to assume the breaks will go his way.
Well, and Alan, we know 39 on tour is the new 29, right? I mean, we could have another 10, maybe even 15 years of great play from Matt Kuchar. Where do you think is his best chance for that big breakthrough?
He's such a fairways and greens kind of player. You would think the U.S. Open, obviously, Aaron Hills would turn into a slugfest, but we're heading to some intimate little venues with Shinnecock Hills and with Pebble Beach. And you think about next year's Open at Carnoustie, that's very much a position golf course, doesn't really reward power. So, the Masters and the PGA tend to be more bombers majors just because of, obviously, Augusta National is always favored that, and the PGA is usually softer and is set up for more aggressive play. So I think one of the Opens is Kuchar's best chance, and the venues the next few years really suit him nicely.
I want to get both of your opinions on this, and Ryan, I'll start with you, but we're seeing some really great social media footage of the post-Open celebrations going on with Ryan, Ricky Fowler, Justin Thomas. They're having champagne out of the claret jug. Good or bad for the game at this point, Ryan?
Oh, I'm really torn on this, Jess, because I love what these guys do for the game. Their presence on social media, they're good buddies. Jordan, Ricky, Smiley, Justin Thomas, they're all good buds, and they're in their early 20s, so I get it. But I have to ask myself, is it good for the game in the sense that where's the cutthroatness from some of these players? Could you ever see Tiger and Phil hanging out like this after one of them won a major, or even Jack and Arnie back then? I mean, congratulating their good buddy Jordan, I understand that, and they're probably flying back with him or whatnot, but holding the claret jug that Ricky and Justin clearly have not won yet. Hey, Ricky had a lot of expectations. I would view this as a very disappointing week for Ricky Fowler, yet he's hanging out, holding the claret jug, mock drinking out of it. I don't know, Alan. I'm curious to hear your take because I go back and forth on this. They do so much good for the game with their youth in growing the game, but at some point, it's like seeing Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson hanging out after the NBA Finals. I just don't see it.
Well, it's just a different era in sports. I mean, to use your NBA analogy, now all the top players are scheming to get on the same team, and they hang out in the off season, and they text each other as to recruit one to the next, super squad. It's just a different era in sports where the top players are a lot chummier. Social media is part of that. As you say, I like that old school flintiness, but those days are gone. I mean, these guys grew up together in junior golf. They travel the world together. They share houses. I think there's nothing wrong with celebrating your friend's achievement the way these guys have, and theoretically, it'll motivate the Justin Thomases and then the Ricky Fowlers to want to have that jug for themselves. But a funny postscript to this is a couple of years ago there was a swank dinner in Pebble Beach, and it was when Phil Mickelson was the defending champion, and he brought the claret jug, and everyone got to drink wine out of it. And Nick Faldo was at that dinner, and he said he had never had a drop of alcohol out of the jug. This is a guy who won the tournament 3 times, but it was such a sacred thing. He felt like it somehow diminished the importance of the achievement and desecrated the trophy. It tells you a little bit more about Nick Faldo and maybe a little bit about Phil Mickelson and their different personalities. But so everyone approaches it differently. And in fact, Faldo did have a little wine that night. So, even the crustiest of the old school guys will take a sip out of someone else's jug once in a while. But it's funny. I think, to answer the question, is it good for the game? Sure. I mean, the whole world has seen these guys. They're likable. They're good looking. They're agreeable. And I think this just adds a whole other layer to the victory and takes it to a larger audience. So I think it's good for the game. Is it good for Justin Thomas or Ricky Fowler? Who knows? But for fans and for casual sports fans who are seeing this, I think they're like, these guys are cool, and I think it's added another layer to the whole thing.
Fair enough. And a swanky dinner at Pebble Beach. No surprise, Alan Shipnuck either knew about it or was there himself. Not shocked there. Alan, thanks so much for joining us, man.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right. We got a whole lot more coming up this Tuesday, including we're going to play some mini golf with NFL Hall of Famer Joe Montana. But first, let's talk about the RBC Canadian Open, which is coming back to the North America this week. There will be north of the border up in Canada, and one of the country's most successful golfers is having quite the year. It's been a breakthrough season for the highest-ranked Canadian Tour pro, Adam Hadwin. I recently sat down with Hadwin, who just 2 months after his historic 59 was able to lock down the first PGA Tour win of his career. I've read quotes where people said about you coming through the Canadian Tour, Web Tour, that you always had the game, you always had the confidence. It just took you a little while to put it all together. How were you able to put it all together in this past year?
I don't know. I mean, I think, more than anything, it's just that continued hard work. I kind of found my way out here. I understand the golf courses a little bit more. I understand what it takes maybe to win out here a little bit better. I've put myself in some positions those first couple of years to have a chance to win some golf tournaments, and I haven't been able to get it done. And I think that kind of all lended itself leading into Valspar, where I put myself back in that position, and I just felt comfortable. I felt like I belonged, and it's a good feeling to have out here.
Did the pressure of coming down the stretch with the 59, but coming up short as far as overall for the tournament, did that pressure, do you think, prepare you for Valspar?
Oh, I think for sure. More than anything, obviously the round itself was very much celebrated, very much talked about, and that became sort of the, I guess for me, sort of the talk of the tournament. But for me, after that round, I was more focused on trying to win that golf tournament now, because to me, it didn't feel complete. Certainly, taking everything that I learned from that final round, building on it, tournament after tournament, coming to Valspar, the same position. Yeah, so it all helps.
You win at a site where a year before, your emotions got the best of you. You snapped the club. I think it was a 7-iron maybe. Was there an attitude overhaul, adjustment in the 12 months that got you back to that point where you were handling things a little bit differently?
You just had to bring that up, right? Yeah. No,
we've all been there. That's why, right?
And it's funny, like going through Tampa and winning, I kind of was laughing about that myself, kind of thinking back to where I was a year ago. And I remember actually sitting down at the tournament with my now wife just outside Innisbrook there, and we were chatting about it. And I think it just come off breaking the club that first round, and we're talking about some things, and I just feel like each year now on the tour, I feel like I've come out and I'm a better player. I may not play better each week. I may not play certain events better than I did last year, but I feel like week to week, I'm learning, I'm improving, and more than anything, sort of these last, I would say, probably since October, the attitude has just been so much better. I feel at peace on the golf course. I'm much calmer. I'm able to accept bad shots much better, and frankly, it's just leading to better golf.
The rumor floating around is that you personally put an end to the theory that you can't meet your soulmate on Tinder. Is this true? Have you given hope to these guys out there that are looking to find their wife out there?
You know, Jess and I have always said that we met when I was in Wichita playing an event. We kind of just left it at that. Nobody had to bring up how, and of course you bring it up now, but it is the truth. No, we were Tinder matched in Wichita there, and we went out on a date. You know, we went out once when I was there that week. Had dinner, and then you know, it's funny. It's been almost 3 years now since we met, and I don't think we've gone a day without talking. So there is hope. There is hope for all you guys out there.
See, guys,
Tinder.
the
You gotta
guys
be looking for the right things, though. That's the key. Right? You gotta be looking for the right things.
Very, very good advice, Adam.
What's up, everyone? Don Saladino here with good friend and PGA Tour player Morgan Hoffmann. We're going to take you through today our typical warm-up, what we like to do to get the body woken up and feeling good. And how you feeling? Good. All right, let's start with some neck. So what I want Morgan to do is we're going to start with some big circles. Nothing glamorous right now. And what Morgan's doing is we're getting that neck joint lubricated, loose. This is kind of the preparation for all the activity we're about to put him through. So this is stuff I like them to do before training, but also before golf. Once we're done with that, let's go into shoulder now. Really slow. These are what we call controlled articular rotations, really fancy word, by Dr. Andrew Ospina, and we are bringing it to you right now. So Morgan's just getting that shoulder capsule real loose. We're gonna do both sides. He's looking good while doing it. He's got his Grayson on, looking awesome. We're gonna go roughly, anywhere from 1 to 3 rotations each side. After that, Morgan's got great balance. We're gonna stand on one leg and we're gonna get that hip capsule now moving. So right now, in those 3 movements, we literally worked everything from the top to the bottom. The ankle, the knee, the hip, the low back, the T-spine, the shoulder, the neck, everything's working, everything's loose. So Morgan, typically, I mean, you've obviously been doing this for a while. What are you getting out of this? What do you feel?
So for me, I do this before every round, and I just feel like my whole body's loosened up. Every joint is ready to go, and before I get on the range, I don't really need to go hit a lot of balls anymore because my body's ready. And like I spend 10, 15 minutes on the range, and in the gym I spend 30 minutes before, just doing all kind of movements like this and getting the body ready and mentally ready in the gym and feel more powerful there than I do on the range. So.
And what's amazing about it is it's not a ton of time out of your day, right? I mean, these are warm-ups you've been doing for the last few years, and it really activates the body pretty quickly.
Exactly. And what we do is we change it up a lot too, so the body never gets used to one thing too much, and always kind of shocks it and prepares me for the day.
One thing I've noticed that you do a great job of is telling day in and day out, listening to your body a little bit. You know, something might feel a little tighter on a certain day because of your air travel, because of maybe, you know, your work schedule, your travel schedule, and you do a great job at making that adjustment to catering to that area of the body that might feel a little bit tight, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if something's tight, I have a medicine ball or a lacrosse ball that I roll on and get the muscles loose and make it feel good for the day.
Really important, listen to your body. It's something I've been talking about for almost 20 years. Day in and day out, you're gonna feel different, and he does a great job in making that adjustment and catering to, I always use that word, the area of the body that might be tight that day. So great job, man. Awesome.
This is Joe Montana, 4-time Super Bowl champion and mini golf fan. And this is a 9-hole mini golf course FanDuel created to help announce their new fantasy golf offering. And this is playing mini golf with celebrities.
What's your mini golf handicap?
My putting stroke. So the key is to go down that way.
Down, okay.
Up against the wall.
How long have you been playing golf?
Actually, I started caddying when I was in high school.
Really? You caddied?
Yeah, had to make money somehow.
Was your life like Caddyshack?
No, we played cards in the back of the caddy more than we did anything.
This is a par 4. Birdie. What'd you shoot?
3.
We both birdied. What up? Who's your ideal foursome in golf?
Dead or alive, if you could play with 3 other people, anyone you wanted, who would be your 3?
I would probably say, going way back, Ben Hogan. And then between Palmer and Nicholas, I would pick Palmer only because he's a Pennsylvania guy. And today, I'd have to play with the lefty. Phil would be fun too. After you.
After me? All right. So I saw out of the 20 people that you follow on Instagram, one of them is Bruno Mars. What is your favorite Bruno Mars song?
I don't know who put that on there because I don't.
You didn't?
No. I don't get on. I don't use Instagram much. Oh, that's bad.
This is a par 3. This is for birdie. Here we go. I followed your line.
Tied.
Tie game right now.
Go.
Is it better to be immortalized in the Pro Football Hall of Fame or on The Simpsons?
Wow, cool poster of Joe Montana.
It's not a poster.
Ah!
I'm the real deal.
I don't know. Simpsons was pretty easy. Hall of Fame was a lot harder.
Both of them are part of your fame and your accomplishments. So,
Yeah, I say Hall of Fame
by a good amount?
yeah, by a good amount. We have to play one more to break the tie.
You're known for the catch, but in the NFL, what is a catch?
I don't know. They seem to have trouble figuring that out too sometimes.
You've played this hole before, so what's the trick? Hit it hard?
Yeah, hit as hard as you can.
Hit it hard and straight.
See, there you go. 1, that's not. I don't know if I should give you 5 for that or not.
Good practice swing. I like that. We're still tied.
Oh, we got the water hole. We
The
got one
water
more to
hole?
win.
We got one more hole. We're gonna play the water hole for the final tie. Oh, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
So fantasy football is coming soon. Who would be your #1 draft pick?
I'll probably take a running back. It's my guess. If I had to pick,
Le'Veon?
that would be good.
That's 2 for you, by the way.
That's
I'm
2.
counting this.
All right. Okay. I'm giving it 4.
Oh, all right, 4. I just have to make this in less than 4, and I got you. And then I can say that I beat Joe Montana in mini golf. That'll be an accomplishment I might put on my resume. That was in. That was too hard. Why won't you go home?
Harder than it looks.
If I don't make this, then you beat me, because this is my last shot. That was terrible. Excellent round.
Thank you.
At only 22 years old, Lexi Thompson is the highest ranked American player in the world. A major champion and a multiple winner on the LPGA Tour, Lexi is known for her tremendous length off the tee. Looking at Lexi's swing from the face-on view, we can see that her body is cranking the club back immediately during the backswing. If you watch her right shoulder as she's working towards the top of the backswing, you can see it continue to work towards the target. Like a lot of long hitters, Lexi is exiting the club well above her shoulder as she moves towards the finish. This is very similar to what Tiger Woods used to do in the prime of his career. Lexi likes to play a shot from right to left, and you can see this from the target view. The club drops well to the inside as she approaches impact. To prevent an excessively right to left shot, Lexi is able to hit up on the ball, which not only launches the ball higher, but keeps the ball from going too far left. What's a little unusual about Lexi's swing is her right foot into the finish. You can see that the right heel actually works back down towards the ground after impact. By getting completely off her right foot in the finish, Lexi is able to produce tremendous clubhead speed while saving her back. This is critical for anybody that wants to have a long career in the game of golf.
Hey everybody, Inspector Gadget back with you. We're looking this time at swing click. The idea behind the swing click is that it teaches you the proper tempo in the transition of your swing. So what it is, it's a sliding weight that attaches to a band that wraps around your forearm. Take your swing back and the weight slides and you don't make that transition until you hear that click. It's like a musician with a metronome. Hear that click? Take it back, click, go. Let's see how this works. I don't know. That pause would absolutely drive me crazy, that clicking noise, waiting for that clicking noise, waiting for that clicking noise. I don't see why you couldn't just take it back 1, 2, and think about transition that way. Swing click costs $19.95 for this band that wraps around, sliding weight on a metal bar. If you're just learning, you're sitting in your hotel room, you got to play with the boss, or you're outside in your backyard, you can strap this on, pick some practice swings. It starts to reinforce the idea of a proper transition. For an experienced golfer, clack, click. This strikes me as an elaborately complex, potentially infuriating gizmo that would drive me absolutely mad. I wouldn't buy it.
Welcome back to Golf Live. That was some great stuff from Josh Sens. Love those Inspector Gadget segments. Very cool. Well, in the midst of the U.S. Women's Open last week, the LPGA Tour released a new dress code policy for players. Here's a list of the articles of clothing that will no longer be allowed. Plunging necklines, skirts, skirts, or shorts that do not sufficiently cover a player's, quote, bottom area, racerback tops without a mock or regular collar, joggers, and leggings, unless they are worn under a skirt or shorts. Well, as you can imagine, reaction was swift, and various media outlets have had a field day with the announcement, calling it sexist, discriminatory, and body shaming. One of the policy's most vocal critics has been Instagram star and professional golfer Paige Spiranac, who wrote a lengthy op-ed for Fortune magazine entitled, "The progression of women's golf is plunging further than our necklines." If professionalism in golf equals athleticism, she wrote, then athleticism should be promoted and showcased, and that means allowing the clothes that promote it. Well, joining us now to discuss this highly contentious issue is Golf.com's Marika Washchishin. Now, Marika, this has obviously touched a nerve. Now, call me old-fashioned, but I don't really see any issues with these new guidelines. To me, they seem like they make sense.
I think that the whole point is that these aren't new guidelines. They're actually existing guidelines under the LPGA dress code. This is just an enforcement and a reminder for the players that, hey, athletic wear is not allowed. It never has been. So we're sort of tightening on that and saying some of the players have been playing a little bit fast and loose with the yoga pants and the racerback. So this is just a gentle reminder that it's not allowed, so let's cut it out a little bit.
Marika, is there a little bit of division on the LPGA Tour? Stacey Lewis, Christina Kim have been pretty outspoken in support of these new rules. They're veterans on tour, I would say. Seems like some of the younger women on the LPGA Tour have been a little more outspoken against these type of regulations. Is there a little bit of divisiveness between the generations on the LPGA Tour?
I think so, and I'm not even sure it's a generational thing. I think I think it ends up being a sponsor thing. I think it ends up being a comfort thing. I think there are some women who are very used to a traditional gear that they wear on tour, whether it be Bermuda shorts and polos. Some women are more used to the more athletic, flippy skirts. So I think there is a divide, and I think what you're hearing on tour is, does it really matter? You know, if we're both talking on either side of this, like, is it really that big of a deal? Shouldn't we be focusing on the golf and not the discussion around what we're wearing?
Well, Paige Spiranac's point was, look, a plunging neckline on one player is going to be and look different than it will on another player, hence the inherent, what she feels, discrimination aspect. Marika, what is a plunging neckline, and what does it mean to fully cover your bottom when it comes to these new LPGA guidelines? Because it is admittedly a little bit vague.
Yeah, I think that is a hard question to answer, because if you look at the LPGA Tour, you're not really seeing that. I have not seen LPGA players with plunging necklines and exposed bottoms. I think what you're seeing this in is things like casual golfers putting videos on Instagram, and you're seeing people react in that way. And, you know, decency is something that is very heralded in golf. It's a traditionalist game. You want to look modest and professional. The women want to be taken seriously. So I guess you're sort of saying, don't show yourself off too much, but also you're an athlete, so you want to look like an athlete. But to be 100% honest, I haven't seen any of these really offensive plunging necklines or uncovered bottoms. And I think that most tour players agree in that, and that's why they're saying, what's the big deal?
You mentioned the videos on Instagram and casual golfers wearing certain types of attire, but I guess what's fun about golf is we get to wear a lot of what the pros wear, whether it's LPGA or PGA Tour. That gear is available to us from all these great manufacturers. Does the LPGA Tour have to be careful here and not alienate certain people, especially when there is making a conscious effort? We're trying to grow the game, trying to get younger people involved in the game. Fashion is a big part of golf, whatever tour we're talking about here. And to start scaling back and getting more conservative, I think you're going to push certain people away. What do you think?
Sure, and I think the important distinction to remember is that the LPGA, this is not something that is a top-down order. This is something that the players have been giving as feedback to their player presidents. This is something the players want. The players want to be taken seriously and to have, you know, a reasonable dress code, nothing that's, you know, going to be body shaming anyone, because I don't think that's where the LPGA is going. The LPGA is very good at promoting their tour and advancing the game for young girls. And I don't think that this is really going to hurt them. I think that this has been a little bit overblown by the media because they're missing some nuances about the fact that it was an existing guideline, that the players did want this. And I'm glad you brought up the PGA Tour, because when Ricky Fowler wears his joggers and high tops and flat brims, yeah, there are some older golf fans who are maybe not so thrilled, but we're not having discussions about it in the middle of the U.S. Women's Open, you know? And so I think that there's an unfortunate double standard here. So I think the sooner that we can get over the fact that, okay, yoga pants bad, racerbacks with no collar bad, everything else that's sort of athletic looking good, then we can move on and focus on the women's golf.
Well, the best news is there is still a lot of variety out there when it comes to golf apparel for women. So Ryan, as always, thank you so much for joining me. And Marika, we love your insight as always, so thank you so much. That's a wrap for this week's episode of Golf Live. We'll be back with a brand new episode in 2 weeks, but until then, be sure to visit Golf.com for the latest golf news and exclusive video content. Thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the week.